Hey there, Kenneth French of Vast Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. We're very, very happy you stopped by. Either you're going to watch this or listen to this because you want to take your business to the next level. You're probably an entrepreneur who's either just starting out or you've been around for quite a while and you want to take your business to the next level. You're probably a real estate investor, maybe even a real estate agent, maybe a professional or of some sort, professional advisor of some sort. And well, you are stopping by because you need some valuable advice from one of the top industry leaders there is. Anyway, thank you very much. Once again, Kenneth French, Vast Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. Really glad you stopped by.
Do you want to know how a billionaire thinks? A billionaire, not a millionaire, a billionaire. Well, we're hanging out with Richard Wilson. He knows exactly what billionaires are thinking of because he's done an unbelievable amount of research. What's going on, Richard?
Not much. Appreciate you having me here, Kenny.
We're going to be good, man. This is a good one because there's not very many people who've delved into the minds of billionaires. So first, really quickly, what's the one thing that sets a billionaire apart from the average person, if there is such a thing?
A billionaire will charge forward on something that other people laugh in their face and say, that's not how things work. That's not possible. You don't know this industry. And a billionaire leans forward when people say that, and they reject things that everyone says, yes, good idea. Yeah, great. Okay, yeah, that's the best practice. Sounds great. Sounds great. Their hairs go up when everyone says that. They know they're in the wrong room.
Yeah, they think differently. It's kind of thought, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have two billionaire clients, and I like to think that they are very different thinkers. So I hear what you're saying. So, okay, first, why is it that you know so much about billionaires? And then let's introduce who you are, et cetera.
Sure. My number one client is a billionaire with a publicly traded entity. My number two client is a billionaire with 1,000 employees, and we've closed over 25 transactions working with them, most importantly. So like real world experience with them is most important. Also, I've identified that billionaires.com was on the market 15 years ago. I spent 12 years negotiating to purchase that. I purchased it, and now we're doing three things. We're interviewing 100 billionaires, gotten 46 of those interviews done so far. I'm also identified there's 245 books authored by a billionaire. I've read 130 of them. And then we've built an artificial intelligence tool transcribing 950 talks by billionaires and then training an AI tool on my interviews and those transcriptions so we can have conversations with the collective intelligence of billionaires.
Yeah, you're the authoritative voice. So if I'm a hundredaire or close to being a millionaire and I want to learn what billionaires think, and to grow my business or what have you, you're a guy with resources that I should be following. That's what you're saying.
Correct. Yeah. And I'll give for free the Billionaire Collective Intelligence AI tool. It's like one of like 40 of these GPT bolt-ons that we've built out, and we'll give it for free to your listeners just for fun. So you see how it works. But also, if you go to billionaires.com/books, there's the top 10 books that I recommend you read out of the 245 that are my favorites so far.
Nice. Let's go over that again slowly. Can you repeat that one more time?
Sure. Billionaires.com/books. And then that will have links to Amazon, all but the 50 years worth of Warren Buffett's annual shareholder letters, which comes in a big fat yellow book. All the rest come on Audible. For most of you that otherwise would just have books stacking up in your closet, I'd recommend Audible.
Nice. Ooh, I like this. But by the way, how did you get in this? What was your deal? I mean, I assume you went to college. I mean, how did your whole deal come together? It's kind of cool.
Yeah, sure. So I'll give you like the Cliff Notes version here of the last 40 some years, but like basically started like 10 businesses before I was out of high school. They all failed except for mowing people's lawns and selling some Christmas wreaths for the Boy Scouts. But one of them was cold calling people in my high school to sell long distance telephone service. And I only sold my girlfriend's parents at the time, but I learned how to reach out. Right. And then I got a business that was successful in college and then sold that to some other students. And I was in the textbook industry. And when I got out, I got myself a 6-figure job doing risk consulting, and it's boring as hell, as you would imagine. Mapping out risk controls at publicly traded companies was driving me nuts, but it paid for my MBA. I was paid cash for my MBA. And I looked around, I'm like, at 21, who's going to pay me $100,000 a year? Almost nobody, unless I'm going to eat what you kill industry. So I applied to commercial real estate and capital raising jobs, got a capital raising job in Boston, studied psychology of influence and persuasion through the Harvard ALM division. And while raising capital, nobody wanted to look at my hedge fund product that was my client. And so I found what a family office was. Turns out they were more than accredited, so they could look at it. And I said, why is no one being my trail guide? I'll start a little blog for free. And then the blog took off, started getting a couple thousand hits a day, got on the front page of the Boston Globe. spoke a couple hundred times in 17 countries, and then bought familyoffices.com. And just 18 years later, we've published 13 books and put on 300 events.
Ah, my man, Richard Wilson knows what's going on. Clearly, nice. Okay, now I got it. That helps paint a little bit bit better picture. So you have some other stuff going on, also. I know you don't. Yeah, what? Name some other stuff you have going on, because I know some of these listeners and viewers are going to like some of this other stuff too.
Yeah, sure. Well, everything we do, we're trying to emulate the most successful families that we've learned from. We've had about 1,500 investors speak on stage at these 300 events. And so they usually are picking 2 or 3 niches and going very deep on them and not acting like everyone else in the world, like we mentioned. And so a couple of the niches that we like are medical clinics, multi-location dental and medical practices that are profitable. And we help the doctor's CEO grow and scale before selling their soul to private equity, as it's called. And then we like the area of robotics and robots, et cetera. We think that's physical AI. So that's one of the investment areas that we look into. But we've got over 10,000 registered investors in our investor club, and over 1,000 that are highly active coming to our 22 events a year. So there's a full spectrum of mandates within each of those families. One of them made their money in auto dealerships, and now they like manufacturing tech devices or health tech, or, so we have every type of private investor, angel investor, centimillionaire, decamillionaire, someone who had an exit, plastic surgeon making 7 figures, kind of a full spectrum. We don't only work with centimillionaires. And I think that's important for people to know. And the only other thing I'd mention is that, just like you, we've spent hundreds of hours, if not thousands, on artificial intelligence, and just trying to figure out how to take big data, big insights, and experience, and then translate that into moving faster and more effectively every day.
I love the stuff you and I are talking about. This, you and I are, we are in alignment. There's no doubt about that. All right. So wait, let's say I'm a lot of the people out there who are listening and viewing are real estate investors. They might, let's say they need some money from a family office. Is that something you do, by the way?
Yes, quote unquote, right? Like, what everyone wants me to do is be their commission only salesperson and go find the investors for them and bring them on a silver platter and close them for them. I mean, that's not what we do. There are placements agents out there that would love to charge you $10,000 a month and take 5% of capital raised, but that's just not our model. We basically have 22 live events a year. We have a mobile app that has 1,200 investor talks recorded on there that you can stream and then follow up with those investors. And then we have the 40 artificial intelligence tools. And some of those tools will look at our 22,000 investor profiles. You say, I'm looking for investors for self-storage, and I'm based in Austin, Texas. And then it will drill down on those 22,000 and say, these 50 are right in your backyard, and they often invest in self-storage, or they're most likely to want to look at what you're doing. And so the live events plus the web portal and the mobile app and the AI tools help people raise capital much faster than they otherwise would. But it's not like we're going to go out and raise capital for 1,000 of our members all at once, right? That'd be a disaster, right?
Yeah. I get it. Wow. This is a good deal. Okay. So let's, if we can, just talk about billionaires.com and kind of delve through that a little bit. Cause I want to kind of try to peek behind the scenes and learn how billionaires think, because you've done a lot of the research. Yeah. So again, let's say I want to take my business to the next level. Let's say I'm a solopreneur. Let's say I'm and I have a team of 1099 real estate agents under me. I'm just throwing an example. Let's just say there was 1,000 of them, right? And I want to take that grouping to the next level. Instead of making whatever, let's say I'm making $1 million a year, I want to make whatever, $1.5 million. What are some things to think about, maybe with respect to marketing or my business, changing of mindset, et cetera?
One thing to think about is doing something completely different and niche focus. Who are your most profitable clients that buy again and again from you, or buy in bulk? It might be institutional clients, might be private equity clients buying up SFR, residential homes. So figuring out the most profitable client set, and then maybe having a DBA brand that hits them between the eyes. Like, this is the group that in the Hawaiian Islands or in Dallas, Texas, we should work with to get institutional access to gobble up 50 or 100 homes a month, right? That could grow the business. I would also look at retirement of your competitors who might be your same size or a fourth of your size, et cetera. Selling to private equity, they want to put 5-year handcuffs on you. They want to do this, that, and the other thing. They have their army of attorneys. Meeting with a true peer and just saying, hey, we'll put this much down. We want to sell our finance this much. you're going to be clean and clear in 18 months or in 2 years. And maybe there's some sort of earnout period to make sure that things don't go way down when they leave. But it's not 5 years more of having a job. So you could make acquisitions doing that. And the big private equity groups are at a disadvantage because of all their stringent requirements.
Yep.
And then I would also say that the biggest groups in any niche are usually relatively bad at being agile, right? You're able to develop artificial intelligence tools for like tax strategies and helping clients navigate tricky situations like that. The big dinosaurs and big gorillas in an industry, unless they're like the one who's made their position off of tech, they're usually slow to adapt to things. So being more future minded, maybe creating a sub brand where you close real estate deals at a flat transaction price and it's $25,000 flat. Doesn't matter if your house is 5 million, 10 million, 3 million. AI, I think, is going to eat realtors alive over time, because many times the person was very nice showing me this town in this area, and they're very nice helping me see a few things that I also saw in Zillow. But at the end of the day, was it worth paying them $70,000 for that 14 hours of their time? I mean, that's an incredible amount of money, right? And so, like, if you see that coming, expediting the inevitable, getting in front of that, and having, maybe acquiring a small company that's a flat fee, or just a totally different approach using technology, might be good.
Yeah, it's mindset. I mean, what you've said it totally is accurate. By the way, I love that you're into AI, because as we talked about, we've been doing AI for years, and I know it's gonna take over the industry, if not humanity.
Yeah.
Sounds bad, but that's only what it got. Okay, so wow, this is awesome. So now let's say I've gone from whatever, $1 million to $10 million, whatever it is, right? Now because of your suggestion, now I'm a big star, right? So what? Now I want to start a family office, let's say. So here I'm jumping all over the place. I know I am, but give me some ideas about, I guess, starting a successful family office, and then we're going to go down that path a little bit.
Sure. And, a family office is really like an ultra wealthy solution for those that need to manage, allocate their capital. And what most people don't know is that family offices manage $14 trillion. And while many people don't know what the term exactly means, they manage more than all of private equity and all of venture capital combined. And so the industry is massive. And I think that a lot of these families basically at the beginning have had an exit, or they just got really good at earning 7, 8, 9 figures a year. And they're really just super founders. They're really entrepreneurs, like many listeners of the show. And so what they do after creating the wealth is also entrepreneurial. They oftentimes have 3 buckets to their portfolio. They have 1 to 3 people managing public market wealth. They then go and look, and it's mostly diversified, mostly hands off by them. They might say, we love Costco or we love Elon or not, et cetera. But like, otherwise they just diversify and leave it up to someone else. And real estate is the second bucket. It's usually, mostly cash flowing, just a bit of development. And with that, they're usually saying, I like these 3 to 5 states. I trust these couple brain trusts in real estate. And they're spreading out the assets, but choosing the food group of real estate and the state or region usually. And then the third group is usually where they play offense. That bucket of their portfolio is where now, instead of owning their own auto dealership, maybe they leave somebody in place, but let them take some money off the table and buy 50% equity stakes in other auto dealerships, or act as a chairman, or back some startups in the niche they know well and open doors for them and get them capitalized and distribution, et cetera. So that's one thing we do when we help people set up family offices. And the last thing I just mentioned on that is that when people think of family office club, sometimes people come to us and are like, oh, I can raise money there for my deal closing this month. And you could, for sure. But the real value is that what you said before about mindset, that like you're in the room with the most successful people in business that have had an exit or cash flowing massively. These are just super entrepreneurs. So rubbing shoulders with them, seeing how they think, how they act, how they structure deals, how they communicate. I think that's pure gold, because then everywhere you go in life, you know how they operate.
That's the most important thing. It's the brain thing. I mean, if you're in the same room with some of those people, by the way, you're going to get connections, but you're going to think just like them, and it's going to get better and better and better. I made the analogy of me being whatever, $10 million of a net worth. If I'm around people with $100 million net worth, I'm going to be thinking like them, and I'm going to get, by the way, contacts, but also going to get as big as them as a trade-off, no doubt.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a big David Goggins fan, and Goggins says, you might think that you're a hard worker, and then you go and do a workout with David, and you know what hard work is. He'll show you what a hard workout is, right? And so you might think you're a high velocity entrepreneur, or you might think you're optimistic or future minded, and then you might hear from family offices, and it might give you the courage to do what you know you needed to do But some people around you might think you've lost your marbles, or that that's a little bit crazy, or it's not proven yet. By the time it's proven, it's crowded and the trade is gone. The arbitrage is gone, right? And it's a commoditized sandbox at that point. So that's one big thing too. It's like the inputs in your life equal the outputs. And I used to work out at Orange Theory. I felt like Superman. I would like destroy everybody. And like, it'd be like first or second every Orange Theory class. And like, oh yeah, I feel so good about myself. I go to CrossFit now and it's a humbling experience. I can't do a third of the stuff they do. You know, like I can't even do half of a muscle up yet. And like, I just get beat. I'm like sometimes last at CrossFit. And so if you're going through life around a bunch of Orange Theory people versus CrossFit people, that's going to change your entire life.
Yeah, Cooper Flagg is a basketball player who played at Duke and was drafted not too long ago. Said that his mom said that, well, if you're the best player in the gym, find another gym. And that's kind of in line with what we're talking about. By the way, I love CrossFit. I've been doing it for years, basically since it started. To go, yeah.
Oh, nice.
I also hear what you're saying. Totally hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I can do 20 double unders now. I could only do like 5 in a row like a month or 2 ago. So I'm trying to get that so I don't have to do like scaled for that, you know.
Do you feel mass better when you do? I feel so great after a workout there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. That's cool. Good job. All right. So then again, I'm using you as the foremost expert in billionaires. I think it's pretty darn close. You have billionaires.com. So what's the kind of some weird things that you found as far as maybe interest and just weird things relative to the billionaire market?
Weird things is that 99% of all media coverage is that these are pure evil and it's a physical form of the devil. I mean, that's pretty much like all the media ever says about them, right? And these are like winners in the game of capitalism. And I thought about like, why is that? Is it just journalists are anti-capitalist? Is because journalists are not successful, so they're jealous of it in general? Like, I don't know. But like, you have to really ignore that and really block out what you let come into your brain. And you could read books from Cooper, you know, you could read books from a Duke University player, or you could read a book by Michael Jordan on how to hit your jump shots. Like, people that are on the New York Times bestseller list are just good at marketing their books. They're not the most successful people in business. Forget all those people. I would just read the books authored by the billionaires, you know? And so I would say that some weird things they do is they go extreme beyond what is reasonable so that no one else can match them, and then do more extreme from there. Like, and Peter Thiel, I think, nails it right. Like, if you start in a niche that's so small, nobody cares, and you monopolize that, and you grow in concentric circles, you grow in strength. And I think that billionaires learn that one way or another and often do that, versus going after 20 different niches. Like, the most effective ultra wealthy families I know, they do 1 to 3 games internally that they get really good at and just dominate at those games. They're not trying to be pro basketball, pro football, baseball, playing cricket, swimming, gymnastics, right? I mean, like, it just takes so long, even with billions in capital, to be really good at any business game that it's usually just 1 or 2, at most 3, even if they're worth $10 billion.
I like it. I like that. Man, I really appreciate you being here. Let's do a reset. By the way, my name is Ken French, Best Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. Hanging out with Richard Wilson, who's with billionaires.com. Again, billionaires.com. Just one last time, how do people get a hold of you before I ask my next question once again?
Yeah, sure. Richard at familyoffices.com is probably the best way to shoot me an email. I'm pretty responsive to everybody.
So, and by the way, we talked a little bit off air. So give us the story a little bit about how you got in the family office. I think it's pretty darn cool because you were in early. Can you real quick go over that one last time?
Yeah. So basically, my dad had a business growing up where he raised money for nonprofits, and he raised over $1 billion for him. And I said, "Hey, Dad, can I do what you do one day?" He's like, "Yeah, but you know, until you get some gray hair or your hair falls out, probably no one's going to hire you. So maybe go to the for-profit corporate world first and build your business muscles there, and you can always come back to this industry." And I said, "Okay." You know, I started those businesses, got into the space, and then what I found when my blog took off, I was at a conference in Monaco. It was a game hedge fund conference, and I brought my wife, and everyone was asking my wife, like, "Oh, you're the wife of the hedge fund blogger guy." And it would come up to me and say, "Oh, you're the hedge fund blogger." Because my website was called the Hedge Fund Blog, and it was just, I named myself hedge fund blogger there. And I realized at that point that I was being flown all around because I had provided so much helpful content on hedge funds and a little bit on capital raising and family offices that I had pigeonholed myself as this hedge fund blogger guy in such a bad position. I said, "Oh, okay, well, turns out we put thousands of hours of work into any niche providing helpful information. You can position yourself in any niche. So let's not do a dumb position as blogger." And so that's when we bought familyoffices.com. and then looked at what everyone else was providing in the world in that niche, and then provided, 10 times more in terms of 1,300 YouTube videos and writing all these books and all that stuff. And
Mhm.
then fast forward 18 years, it's like laying bricks of a foundation. And now the amount of videos and the amount of content we have just gets us naturally found within like GPT search results, et cetera. And that's why we get good deal flow, and how we built up our 17 million social media followers and group members, et cetera.
There's a huge lesson. I know you're going to agree to this. There's a huge lesson in that. Free content really gets eyeballs. So
Right.
what you've done, and you were way ahead of the curve, but what you've done is basically essentially given up free content. Therefore, now you're getting eyeballs. That really is it.
Yeah. Yeah, just like the podcast, right? I mean, I always say that I live here in Hawaii full time because I believe in karma, because I like giving away value like you are in this podcast, but I'm not so sure about reincarnation. So I'm going to live in Hawaii in this life, right? Because who knows, right? Like, why am I writing all these emails and doing all these Zooms and podcasts and live events if I'm not enjoying it? And that's the thing. I think without studying family offices and billionaires, I do not think I would be living a block from the beach in Hawaii, because I would be like, oh, people don't do that. Who in finance moves to Hawaii? Oh, I'm going to be in the middle of the ocean. Like, I'd be scarcity minded about it. And it's because almost no one else does it that I'm more confident about doing it. And the more things in your life you can listen to your gut on, but no one else agrees with you, but you're very high conviction, it'll be amazing, then that is as close as you can get to predicting the future. And I think just being happy in general.
You said you live in Hawaii. The first thing I thought is, well, wait a minute. I'm surprised he doesn't live in New York. But then again, it's cool that he's in Hawaii because he's got a work-life balance, and I'm sure he's killing it. That's the first thing, frankly, that went through my mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I just like a place where I'm drawn to be outside. I've got 3 girls and a wife, and my mother-in-law lives with us. And, this morning at sunrise, I put on my weighted vest and we went up to the pillbox, Lanikai pillbox hike. It's like 700 feet or something up for sunrise, and then ran back down and took my 2 younger girls to school, summer camp. And like to be able to do that, like on a whim, and just be outside every day and jump in the ocean and go sit in a hammock in the beach and stuff. For me, that's worth a lot. Right. And like, what's the point of gathering up millions of dollars so that when you're, too old to use it much, you can like sit around and play golf, or I don't know. Like, it's like, what's the point of that? I don't know if I'll die later today or tomorrow at the 4th of July parade, right? Like, you don't know these types of things. So you might as well enjoy your life. And then Sam Zell is a real estate billionaire. And I like how he put it. He says he likes to live his life full throttle. And one thing I do every morning while I'm shaving is read my monthly, quarterly, annual goals on a laminated piece of paper, and then 50 little mental programming statements. And one of them is like, only do exciting exponential things, nothing that's linear. And like that goes with what I choose for business, who I hire, et cetera. I think like if you apply that to life, business goes better and everything's more fun.
Yeah, you got a great story. There's no doubt. So give us one example where you've totally helped out because you're a service provider, either I don't know, a family office or an individual or a solopreneur. You've somehow made them, double or triple or quadruple or 10 times their business.
Yeah. Usually the way we're able to help the most with investors is helping them dial in a strategy. And then,
Yep.
for example, with one of my billionaire clients, he had a publicly traded entity that he could pull capital out of to fund profitable operating businesses, and he still does. And what we were able to do 19 times is identify someone coming to our investor club events, read over the bios of everybody attending, would set up little 5-minute speed meetings with some of our VIP investors that were there in the room. And through 19 different transactions, we were able to help him allocate into opportunities he wouldn't have seen otherwise. And
Mhm.
I think that the insight from that is that so many people are skeptical of anything digital, AI, social media, anything. They're like, no, business is done with a handshake. Like, I don't know what all that nonsense is. I don't believe in it at all. And it's proven by Robert Cialdini that it's scientifically proven you're 16 times more likely to close a deal if you meet in person. So I'm all about that. That's why we host in-person events. Trust me, living in Hawaii, we wouldn't do 22 live events a year if we didn't have to. And but we do have to. So digital just builds a funnel, like a podcast is part of that funnel. And it just builds a funnel to bring more people face to face to shake your hand because they heard me on your podcast or whatever, right?
Yep. Yeah, man. So hold on. So you do 22 events. Tell me a little bit about those events, because I think that's truly where you're shaking hands, where you're really adding value, meeting people, et cetera, solidifying deals. Tell me a little bit about those.
Yeah, sure. So we just have two types of events. Essentially, 16, 17 times a year, we're hosting an investor mastermind, and all of our events rotate through four cities. It's like Dallas, New York City, South Florida, and Los Angeles. So major city hubs where most people can get to pretty easily. Our masterminds are 1 day long, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So you can fly in and out the same day if you want to and not be away from home one more day. And we basically have rapid fire content with just 2 to 5 trainers on stage. Like our next one is an artificial intelligence tutorial workshop. You get your laptop out. We walk you through our 40 artificial intelligence tools that just help GPT be 10 times more, effective and powerful for investors and capital raisers and CEOs. And then that's an example of a mastermind. And then our summits are more big venue, 450 to 1,000 people attending, 75 to 125 speakers on stage at one event. So at the end of hearing 125 people on stage say what they're investing in, how they structure deals, where they focus next, what's happening, are interest rates going to change, what's the top 5 predictions. It allows you to, it not only is exciting because you're around optimistic, positive people versus journalists, or other forms of media that might be largely negative. But it might confirm some things that you need to do and you've put off because you really don't have enough peers to kind of bounce those ideas off of. And it'll help you grow courage and confidence in what you're looking to do.
And I'm going to assume a lot of those family offices or investors end up co-investing in deals based on the things they've learned.
Yeah, for sure. And, they've shown that the relationship you have with an investor is more than twice as likely to determine whether they invest with you than the details of your deal. Anyone can put anything on a piece of paper with AI. Anyone can fake anything in a data room. So meeting in person is important. And one lesson from billionaires and family offices that they stress often is who you spend your time with in life matters more than little bullet points of what you set out to do, right? Who you choose to marry, who's on your team, who do you partner with, who do you serve as clients. That is going to change what your life looks like more than anything else you can do. It's the who that matters the most.
Wow, this has been man, Richard, this has been good, man. This has been good. Let me get ready to close the door here, but I'm going to ask a few more questions. So then, who ultimately are you willing to or wanting to reach out to or communicate with or close deals with of the listeners? Give us one avatar that you think might make sense for them to contact you or go to your website, et cetera, and start a dialogue.
Sure. I think that somebody looking to form a family office, formalize their family office, improve it and source better investment opportunities. We have massive deal flow. And then, we love working with medical practice, dental practice founders, anyone in the robotics area in terms of investment. But, any founder looking to scale, grow, or raise capital, we're looking to be highly helpful to you. And selfishly, I don't want to get bored going to my own events. So we try to make sure each event is fresh. And if I'm getting bored, we don't invite that speaker back. And just like with your podcast, right? It's like the podcast would go straight down if you were bored every time you got on here, right? So we try to do the same thing with our events.
Perfect. Okay. One last time, how do we get a hold of you, or how does someone get a hold of you if they're interested? Because people will be interested in getting a hold of you. I can promise that.
Yeah, sure. And we're happy to provide you the Billionaire Collective Intelligence tool. So it's just easy for them to get through the show notes or whatever, or they can message me. But it's just familyoffices.com is the Family Office Club website. My email is just richard@familyoffices.com. And if you'd rather send me a text, we don't lose each other in a million emails per day. It's 305-333-1155.
Richard Wilson of billionaires.com. This has been good. I really appreciate it. Taking this time with us, and then everyone out there, please do get a hold of him because he knows what's up. If you want to know what a billionaire's thinking, Richard Wilson's the man. Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate you having me on here, and hope you can come to one of our events for free as our guest sometime, just get to know each other.
Ooh, I like that. All right, let's chat in a little bit. Once again, thank you.
Thank you.